Good morning, fellow Toastmasters.
Good morning.
That's right. I hereby call to order this meeting of Lake Mary Toastmasters Club 6440, the very best Toastmasters Club anywhere. Challenge me on it, I dare you. Before we begin, please silence your phones. Everybody knows how to do that. And you know what happens. All right. Please stand with the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be followed by a moment of silence. Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Our club has a mission. I love the smell of mission in the morning. We provide a supportive and a positive and encouraging learning environment in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. When you leave here this morning, if you have not experienced improved self-confidence and personal growth, take it up with Lori. And now, we're going to hand it over to our temporary Toastmaster, Lori.
Hey!
I'm still curious why Gene loves the smell of emissions in the morning.
It helps focus the moment.
Is that a topic?
All right.
And here comes the other Toastmaster.
Okay.
Yes.
Good morning, Toastmaster.
Good morning.
I would like to turn this meeting over to our Toastmaster, Sam Bailey.
Yes.
Thanks,
Thank
Sam. Now, we also need to pass one down, so take one and pass it down.
Late night.
Did anyone else see the accident on I-4 by chance?
Yeah.
heard about it. Take that for.
Okay.
Just as we got
Yes,
off
good
the
Flame shifting.
getting on.
Thank you, that's where I was going, I appreciate it.
You're habitually late.
No
No grace from you. No grace. No grace.
I think somebody should give a speech on the day Sam was on time to a meeting. Oh wait,
Oh my
no. That would be
goodness.
impossible.
That would be, do we have like a storytelling manual? We do, right? Fit there perfectly. Well, good morning everyone, how are we doing today?
Yeah.
Better than you.
Evidently. Glad to see everyone smiling and not in the car wreck, so it's good to see you all here. Did we already get into our functions for the day?
No.
No? Excellent. Well, for our first individual, we have Miss Stephany Bird for our on count.
Oh, well, that is not the real purpose of the on-count. The on-count counter's job is to help curb you from those annoying, pesky little filler words, crutch words, so well you know, well, but also very great, awesome, amazing, and basically don't want to hear any of those. And if I do, guess what I got this morning? So you'll know when you're saying it. Many times people say, when did I say them? I'll give my report at the end, 5 cents per.
Oh my God.
I feel like Shayne had some part in this as well. That would make sense. Oh, excellent.
Y'all been spoiled. My other clubs will do that.
We haven't done it here in a long time.
Yes. Why don't you tell us about your functions, Mr. Steve? That is our timer.
Overused.
You're all members. You know what I'm doing. You got your window to hit. Green at the beginning, yellow at the middle, red at the end. 30 seconds passed, and you'll have to face the wrath of everyone else who wants to get to work on time. So keep it straight. First 2 speeches are at 5 to 7 minutes. Just change yours listed 8 to 10. Is that your target?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
just making sure. Table topics, 30 seconds to 60 seconds, and the evaluations 2 to 3 minutes. Hit it.
And last but not least, for our grammarian, Miss Lynn Levi.
Well, I first have to apologize.
apologize because I left my sheets home. And I did go on Easy Speak and put my word, which is different than this word.
Whoa.
So,
Alright.
What's your word?
my
We
word
can use
is,
both if it.
my word is right there and is concoct. C-O-N-C-O-C-T.
I like
Which
that word
means
better.
to devise, make up, contrive, as in concocting an excuse, or to prepare,
Shayne.
whoops, what I just did, excuse me. To prepare or make by combining ingredients, especially in cooking. And my sentence says, I believe I can't read it from here, that we could concoct a meal from the holiday leftovers. Okay. So my job as the Mary, which I took on but didn't fulfill, is it is my function to select a word of the day to help build members' vocabularies. Each member, when called upon to speak, is encouraged to use the word of the day, which is concoct. Other members may gently rap on the table when they hear a member use the word, and I could report at the end. By the way, this is a good word also. Salubrious?
Where did you find it?
Where did you find that?
One of my old words.
It's one of
Yes,
your
it is
old.
one of my favorite words.
Okay, well, we'll use, can I use mine?
Absolutely.
Okay,
You
thank
can do
you.
whatever you want.
Use either or.
Okay.
I say bonus points.
All righty, thank you.
You're welcome.
I would like to ask a question about this word of the day. It says favorable to or promoting health, heal, and then the example has nothing to do with promoting health or healing. So I am a little confused as to the meaning of the word salubrious.
It's for the soul. It's healing of the soul because it's dessert compared to your fitness.
I thought that was desert.
Yeah. It is desert.
Not dessert.
It is desert.
Sam, you're so fiery.
Yeah, when you sit in traffic, you gotta wait.
That's what it is. So maybe I'll start with it.
Yes, that is true. It's okay, I was conjuring up a much worse backup plan because I was thinking I was gonna be there much longer than what I actually was. I ended up speeding down a few back roads to be able to do that, so thank you. I
And did you
appreciate
put together this agenda while you were in your
it.
vehicle?
Yes, I did. Oh, it was beautiful, texting right the entire way.
Good.
And that's
Mobile
why
printer.
it's got a mobile printer.
They cut the
But for our theme for today, I would actually like to do it on this wonderful establishment we have here, Panera Bread. How many times do we actually go through and think, okay, we have the room, get this set up, but what was the history of Panera Bread? What was it like when it first started up? It actually started back up in 1981, and it wasn't even named Panera Bread. It was some weird Italian name that I couldn't even pronounce and won't even try. But it was housed in Los Angeles when it first came out. And it didn't get the name Panera Bread starting up as just extra side restaurants till 1993 to the span of 1997, where it had expanded by 75% within that first quarter that they had there. So a little fun fact to get us started on that. But for our first speaker, coming from the common manual, or common communication manual number 4, how to say it, because I evidently can't do that. Words and sentence structures communicate the ideas clearly, accurately, and vividly. Read quality words and sentence structure communicate the ideas, devise, enhance, and emphasize ideas. No jargon, no unnecessary words. Correct grammar used. Please help me welcome Mr. Bob. Would you like to laugh?
I don't think I need the leg for it. I'll stand. The grammarian asked me what kind of a story I was going to concoct this morning. And so, thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, who apparently left the toast in the toaster too long this morning. So, the question is, why do you think my neighbor moved? Well, this is a little complicated story. Everybody here has probably had a dog or a cat. But how many have had a rabbit? Oh, okay, well, I built our rabbit's cage in the backyard. And it was one of those screen enclosures with a wood top that you could lift up to get the rabbit out or feed it and so forth. And it worked really, really well. we had 2 rabbits. My daughter had a rabbit called Marshmallow because it was a pure white rabbit and it was really friendly. So my son then had to get a rabbit and it was a dark rabbit, so we called it Toasty Marshmallow. And they would take these rabbits and put them on a leash and walk them around up and down the street, which that's pretty weird. But it worked well for the kids and they loved the rabbits and they were very tame. And of course, in the winter we would bring them in because it got cold, but in the summer we'd leave them out, just be sure they had a lot of water. We also had a dog. We called it a digger dog because this dog could dig holes so fast, it could dig under the fence, and it was hard to control. It was a small dog, but this dog was a voracious digger. So, turns out our next door neighbor, immediately next door, right up the other side of the fence, had 2 kids. And they decided it was really nice to have a rabbit. It was easier than a dog or a cat. So they bought this rabbit with a really crappy cage. I mean, you could open the side door, and I didn't think it was very sturdy. So, as it turns out, it's really, really hot. And our neighbor said, we're going away for the weekend. Could you please keep an eye on the rabbit? Be sure it has enough water and food. And I said, that's no problem. And you know how these rabbit water feeder with the little metal tube comes out? So it was easy to be sure that the rabbit had enough water. Well, I was going to take that job on very, very carefully to be sure that that rabbit was okay. Well, then what happens is the neighbor is gone and we're sitting having breakfast in the breakfast room with the kids, and we look out the sliding glass doors, and in the backyard, there's our dog with the rabbit hanging out of his mouth.
Oh, no.
I'm like, ah. Now, what are we going to do? This is pretty serious. So I figured, well, maybe the rabbit had a heart attack. And so I took the rabbit into the garage, and I dusted it off. And I went, and I put it back in the cage. Well, figured it had water, it had food, and they would wonder, well, what could be, you know? So the neighbor comes home Sunday night, banging on my door. Like, what could be? And he said, something strange going on in this neighborhood. I said, like what? He said, well, we forgot to tell you that before you left, the rabbit died. And being as religious as we are, we had a little funeral in the backyard. And we buried the rabbit. And we put this little cross over the rabbit. Not to insult anybody who was Christian, but this was obviously a Christian rabbit. So he said, well, we were freaked out because we had buried the rabbit. We came back and the rabbit is back in the cage. And it's as dead as could possibly be. So we need to know what is going on in this neighborhood. And I'm like, I don't know. So the question now for you folks is, do you think my neighbor moved because of the rabbit situation? Was it another calamity? Senior Toastmaster?
Yeah. Was this when you were a kid? Or was this when you were a kid, or was this when you were a grown-up?
This was
A couple years ago, like last year.
I had my own kids, so obviously I was.
20 years ago.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and I was in the obituary along with it.
I
our new,
That was a
we
true
were
story.
our new
Oh, is that a true story?
got my rabbit.
Oh,
Well, we had a whole pet cemetery in my backyard.
So don't keep construction at your house.
Well,
You
and,
say
you know,
they didn't bury
You might find
rabbits,
one.
gerbils, hamsters, you know.
The digger got him up. Oh my
Birds
God.
that ran into the house.
Okay.
So when, you know,
Oh, it's illegal. Because yeah, I call those cats out.
huh?
I call them cats out.
Yeah.
I don't think the timer was keeping the 1 minute we were all talking.
You've had plenty of time
All
already.
right.
You know, so excited about that rabbit from back in the day.
For our next speaker, speaking from the Interpretive Reading Manual, project number 1, read a story. Please welcome Advanced Toastmaster Bronze Kerri with her speech, Moonstruck, the true story of the cow who jumped over the moon.
Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, Mr. Moonstruck, the cow who jumped over the moon. Mother Goose, what a bag of feathers she is. She makes it sound so easy. 941 pounds of cow meat, not counting the butter, catapults 240,000 miles to jump over the moon, and what does that old goose woman write? One lousy line. Not even a whole poem. I know for a fact the cow was hurt by it, but who am I to say? I'm just an old brown horse. Only then, I was a young brown horse. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. I want to tell you the whole story. First of all, you may not know this, but we horses jump over the moon on a regular basis. Every night, at least one of us makes the trip. I don't want to make it sound easy or anything, but we all do it. We can handle it. We're built for it. We began training for it at a very early age, which is just what we were doing when this cow started hanging around. At first, she kept her distance, and to be quite honest, we were quite flattered. Who doesn't like an audience? Then she started trying to get friendly, asking dumb questions like, do you take a running start? I mean, come on. Who ever heard of jumping clear over the moon from a dead standstill? Every day she was there, cold weather or warm. As if that weren't bad enough, she began using our equipment herself. That's when I knew I had to have a talk with that cow. I mean, let's face it, not everyone can be born a horse. Look, kid, I said to the cow, you can't keep doing this. You're going to get hurt. Why don't you go chew the cud with your cow friends? No, she said, I'm going to jump over the moon. Honey, come on, you're a cow. Take a look at that body of yours. Those short little legs, that galumphing stride. I don't care, she said. I'm going to. Every night I look up and I say to myself, one day I'm going to see that moon, what that moon looks like up close. One day I'm going to jump clear over that moon. Now I understood. The cow was moonstruck. There was no use trying to talk to her. Okay, kid, I said, I'll give you a shot. But if you can't keep up, you're out. Is that a deal? It's a deal, she said. I didn't mention this to the others. What was I going to tell them? I recruited a cow for the team? I figured she wouldn't last longer than a day or two anyway. Then we'd be rid of her for good. Boy, was I wrong. First thing in the morning, there she was. Last thing at night, still there. Every time I'd get ready to tell her to head back to her herd, she'd go and do something really well, and I'd have to keep my mouth shut for another day. After a few months, she was jumping as well as the quarter horses. Then what could I say? So that's how it went for most of the season until we got down to the final part of the training, the wall. Some of the horses sweat the nails right out of their shoes when it's their turn to jump the wall. There was no way a cow could clear it, no matter how hard she tried. But when I told that cow, she galloped off in a huff, and I didn't see her again until I was setting up the flags for the wall. Then, all of a sudden, there she was, thundering toward the wall, her cowbell clanking wildly. No, I hollered, as the cow gathered her legs under her and sprang all the way over that great stone hurdle. Yes, yes, the horses shouted, stamping their hooves in salute to that black and white babe. After that, I have to tell you, I had to rethink the whole cow thing. Some years half my horses can't clear the wall, and here this crazy bovine jumped it the first time out. So that very day, I posted the list of the horses who were ready to jump the moon, and on that list, I included the cow. When the cow found out she'd been chosen, you could hear her mooing from one end of the farm to the other. She was so excited she could hardly keep her mind on schooling those last few days. But when the night came for her to jump, she was calm and confident, and her mind focused on flight. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off! And she burst forward down the hill. Faster and faster that cow galloped down the hill. Faster and faster she went as she gathered her legs under her and rocketed into the night. Higher and higher the cow flew, careening through space at an incredible speed. Up and up and up, until 1, 2, 3, all 4 of her stubby legs soared past that big old moon. And then around and around and up and over until she'd seen every bit of the moon up close, and the stars, and the meteorites, and the Milky Way, and the Earth. And then, when there was nothing left to see, gently, gently, gravity brought her back to Earth again. Well, I can tell you that when she came back, there wasn't a dry eye on the whole planet, which is why I know for certain that that old Mother Goose wasn't around. Because if she'd seen that Holstein jump the moon with her own eyes, she wouldn't be wasting her time writing about cats and fiddles and the courtships of dishes and spoons. She would have written a whole book about that cat.
1 minute on the clock. Thank you, Mr. Towner. Now, Panera, making the complete switch of their name in 1999, today have a net worth of $4.5 billion, I believe it was. And with that, they have created an array of wonderful menu options, and being the type of place that is, they went ahead and put the calorie count on us. So, if you want something that's a little more hearty, where for 960 calories, get the steak and white cheddar panini bread. But if you want something that's a little more lighter, this is whole portions, the half, you always just divide it by half. It is going to be our vegetable soup for 340 calories. For our next speaker, we have Inspire Your Audience. Hey, it was a health thing. It was appropriate for Mr. Shayne.
It was salubrious.
It was salubrious. I like that word. Very mark that down.
I have no idea what that means.
Inspire your audience, appealing to noble motives, challenge the audience to achieve a higher level of beliefs or achievement. Appeal to the audience needs and emotions using stories, anecdotes, quotes, and add drama and food quotes. Please help me welcome Mr. Shayne.
First off, I think the inspirational speech of the day was Kerri. That was actually a pretty inspirational story. I really enjoyed it. So I had this big long speech prepared. I know that generally when I get up here and speak, I tend to have an inspirational theme on a regular basis. So I had put all this pressure on myself. Here, hold on one second. I'm renting your clicker and your pen. Put it down. So I put a lot of pressure on myself to write this speech that I know that the group expects me to inspire and this, that, and the other thing. And I wrote a speech, and I practiced it, and I realized when I was driving here this morning that I hated it because it didn't feel authentic. I felt like I had to present this message, so I'm not giving that speech. I am going to concoct a new one as I stand up here. And the main reason is that I realized that I'm extremely lucky to be standing here today. There are 500,000 people in Orlando, and I'm a guy standing here in front of you today. There's 15, 20 million people in Florida, and I'm one guy out of 15 or 20 people in Florida that's standing in front of you here today. 300 million people in the United States, and I happen to be the one guy that's standing in front of you here today. One person out of 7 billion people in the world, and I happen to be the guy that's standing in front of you right now. There is literally a 1 in 4 trillion chance when you are born that you are born a human. Out of all the organisms that you could come to life as, there's a 1 in 4 or 5 trillion chance that you get to be a human. So, if we really think about that, we have to consider ourselves extremely lucky. We live in the wealthiest planet on the world, probably in one of the wealthiest cities in the U.S. And so many people spend so much of their time worrying or thinking about fear or not making decisions because they don't know the outcome. But if you really, really consider it, I mean, this one life that we have, this one life, 70, 80 years, if you're really healthy and you really live a miserable life, probably 100 years. Just kidding. But don't you have to consider that that is an extremely valuable gift, this life that we have. We had no control over the fact that we were born or the fact that we were born a human, so you have to consider it as a gift. And I think that if you ask most people, Kerri, do you consider your life a gift? Ernst, do you consider your life a gift?
Absolutely.
Stephen, do you consider your life a gift?
Yep.
I think that we would find that consistently around the room, pretty much anywhere you go. But do people actually live like that? Like, think about it. If you receive a precious gift, how do you treat that gift? What do you do with it? How does it make you feel? How do you enjoy it? How do you show that you appreciate that gift? So do we treat our lives as though they are a precious gift? Do we really? I know oftentimes I don't. I spend my time worrying about the next dollar I'm going to make, or I spend my time whether or not my shirt is ironed enough, or I consider how I might hurt this person's feeling by telling him the truth. I'm not living my life, every moment of it, as though it is a gift, because it is truly a gift. So I feel very lucky to be up here today, and the speech that I had prepared was going to tell you about how I overcame this and I overcame that and I dug myself out of the trenches, but that's not truth. It's not. I have had those experiences in my life, but I didn't dig myself out of any trenches. I had a lot of help along the way. I didn't overcome this. I got the opportunity to learn a couple of lessons. So I was, last night, scrolling through Facebook, wasting time, and I came across this video, a guy giving a TED Talk. He was an EMT. He had seen several hundred people die in his long career, and he spoke about a decision that he made 5, 6, 7 years earlier to tell people the truth when they asked him if they were going to die. He said he used to lie to them and tell them no and want to give them hope and doesn't want to ruin their last moments on this earth. Even though he knows they're going to die, he lied to them. And he said one day he decided he wasn't going to lie to them anymore. And he expected them to spend their last moments in fear and in terror and, lost of all hope. But that's not what happened. The first time he told someone that they were going to die and he was honest with them, they surrendered. They relaxed, they accepted it. And they asked a question. It was a gentleman, and he said, I wish I would have spent more time. My family and my friends, rather than being so selfish with my time. And he said, throughout these experiences, people asked 3 questions, or people wanted 3 things. They wanted forgiveness, or they expressed some sort of regret. They wanted to know if they'd be remembered. And they wanted to know if their life had meaning. And I've heard this before, but never in this context where dying people were actually asking a man this question. And I remember 5 years ago asking myself, why would I wait till I die to ask myself those questions? If I don't want to have to ask for forgiveness when I die, then should I not ask for forgiveness for my mistakes every day? If I don't want to wonder if I will be remembered, should I not work to leave a lasting impression on people, the people that I have the honor of coming in contact with on a daily basis? And if I don't want to wonder if my life has meaning, then should I not make sure every interaction I have with another human being has meaning on a daily basis? So, I'll tell you what I believe. I don't believe that we should live our lives sitting comfortably on a couch expecting everything to be handed to us on a silver platter. I think if we're to say that we truly experienced our lives, we need to be willing to get uncomfortable. We need to be willing to experience joy, just like we experience pain. We need to be willing to experience happiness, just like we experience sadness. We need to open our hearts to people and take a risk. And yes, you can experience deep, deep love with someone, and you can experience deep, deep pain from that same person, and that is okay. I don't think that our lives should be lived in fear of something that might happen. I want my brain when I die to be full of knowledge of good and knowledge of evil. I want my heart to have a few missing pieces. I want my spirit to have experienced all levels of joy and all levels of pain. I will not die comfortably in the middle of the night. I will go kicking and screaming. And I know when I pass into the next life that I will have experienced everything that this life had to offer, and I will have done everything in my power to help others experience the same, because this life is a gift and it is meant to be experienced. So, I believe that if you want to live forever, that is how you must live. And the meaning of everlasting life is that you've had an impact on people, and you've had an impact on people's lives, and they will not forget you, and that's what everlasting life is. Thank you.
One minute on the clock.
Okay.
Thank you, timer. Up next, we have Able Topics, in which you get to exercise your impromptu speaking with the wonderful Mike Hughes.
Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, I have questions for you, but the best part is everyone of you have a role, so everyone is now free game. You're all getting So let's start back from the beginning. What was your favorite pet and why? Lori.
My favorite pet was a dog named Big Red. My husband bought him one day when I was at work and called. He called to tell me that he bought this dog, and when I got home, it looked like a big lion bear that was taking up my living room. He was humongous. And my first thought was he would eat my kids. And I told him that if he did eat my kids or look at them cross-eyed, that dog was gone. He said, okay, no problem. I went walking down the hall, and Big Red, new to our house, went walking down with me and jumped on our bed. And I was at first afraid of him when I walked into my house, but he jumped on my bed, and then I just went crazy, and I started yelling, get off my bed, get off my bed. And from that point on, he knew I was the boss. That was
So have you ever had to pet sit for somebody? And the animal is a terror. And you have to concoct a story to tell them that it was okay. Gene.
I do remember pet sitting for someone that it didn't end well. So I had a friend who was going out of town and asked me to look after his dog. The dog was named Lucky. It was lucky because I found him on the side of the road, and my friend wanted a dog. I was like, well, you're a lucky dog because you were going to go to the pound. And so he was living with my friend, and because the dog came for me, he felt I owed him pet sitting duty, which he was right. So I signed up for that. Well, there was like a 15-minute drive to his house, and the dog was a terror, and I had to go twice a day to go check on this dog and make sure he was fed and out and everything. And one day I got there like an hour later than I would have been, and the dog was clearly, he had a clock. He knew that I was supposed to be there an hour before. Anyway, I got there, and the coffee table was destroyed. He had just eaten the entire coffee table. It was a wicker wooden thing, like light wood, and it was gone. It was just like little fragments of coffee table there. And so, no, I didn't concoct any story about that, but I felt really bad about the destruction of the coffee table.
What do you find is the hardest thing when writing a speech that you find insalubrious to you? Our dear law counter, I'm going to pick on you since we're both. Yes,
Mr. Table Topics Master, you want to know what I find the most difficult in writing
concocting a speech.
And concocting a speech. Finding something to say that someone wants to hear. Trying to imagine not wasting people's time. Is there anything new, any insight, any illumination that I can bring to anything? That's why I don't speak much. I run out of material. Nothing to say. And therefore, I will concoct my next speech in such a way out, strange, out of character fashion, so that people will listen to me. That's all I have to say, Mr. Tidbit.
If you could reincarnate as anything in this world, what would you be and why? I'm going to pick on Gus. I know you got a roll. I want to hear it.
Table Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters, and yes, your question is, what will I want?
If you could reincarnate as anything in this world, what would it be and why?
I will be the person that we have joy, that we have love, that we have self-control, that we have peace, that we have patience, that we will be faithful. And when I become that, then I will spread it out to everyone, starting with you.
Last question. What is your most valuable life lesson that you want to share with people? And I'm going to pick on Bob, and I know you just spoke, but I want to hear it.
Hey, Bob. All right.
Wow. Difficult and tough story. That quickly, my most valuable life lesson. I would say that it would be empathy. Right?
It's your life lesson.
I feel that this will not end well. I think that often you need to jump the fence and look at life from other people's perspective so that you can understand how they feel about something that might be interesting to you.
Should we dig under the fence instead?
That's where you'll find me.
Next up for our meeting, we have the general evaluations. In this portion of the meeting, we're going to be going over what we did good, what we did bad, and then the speakers will be having their own individual evaluations. So we welcome the Ernst.
Good morning, Toastmasters fellow members and guests. You guests, right? Okay, good.
Welcome.
Isn't it strange? 1 minute it's hot, then it's cold outside. It is. It's like my hot flushes every day. Some of the people are laughing. I thought, you guys might not understand.
Not a joke. It's not a joke. It's a real thing.
This is the general evaluation portion of the meeting. Here is where we learn what we did well and where we need some improvements. We have evaluators who actually evaluate the various speeches. So I do not evaluate the speeches, they're special evaluators, but I evaluate the general meeting, such as, was the Toastmaster on time? Was the agenda done on time and written? Etc. That's what I'm going to evaluate a little later on. Evaluation points are a very important part of our Toastmasters meeting because it helps us to grow. And that's why we're here. You know, we make mistakes, and that's where we learn from. Speaker number 1 was Bob Levy. He will be evaluated by Julia. And why do you think my neighbor left was the subject.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Welcome to our club. It is my privilege, because I am unique in this world, and I only get this opportunity right this minute to evaluate Bob Levy. He's giving his fourth speech from the Competent Communication Manual on how to say it. This could also have been from the Storytelling Manual as well. In this project, he is to use words carefully, descriptively, to get his point across, and to say it in a way that everyone takes it in and fully understands his meaning. And his story was perfect for this project because he's talking about toasty marshmallows, rabbits, and Christian rabbits, and and you know, do you have a visual? I sure do. I'm thinking this could be an animated movie somewhere. He talked. The title kind of stumped me. I think you could have had a better title. Why did the neighbor move? I think it should have been something like "Something Strange is Going On in Our Neighborhood," or "What Could It Be?" Could have been the titles you used. In his manual, he is to be evaluated on his word choices. So in some of these items, it says, was the speech topic appropriate for this particular assignment? Absolutely. He had such vivid words. I can picture his dog and the dead rabbit and the marshmallow rabbit and the toasty rabbit. I had rabbits, unfortunately. My kids had rabbits. I hate rabbits. But I can really relate to your story. Did the speaker use vivid descriptive words? Absolutely. Did the speaker use words that were more than one meaning or were inaccurate? And of course, we had the Christian rabbit, and we had a toasty marshmallow rabbit, and then you're like, what could it be? What was the part that I liked best about your speech? It's the storytelling. You are a storyteller. You've got humor, and you get up here, and it's just natural, Bob. So when you use all these vivid words, and then you see the gleam in your eye, I just laugh. It makes me laugh. I feel happy every time I hear a story. I hope you continue. Any areas that you could improve upon? You could have set this story up with a really good introduction. Set the stage. We forget to do that. Most of us forget to provide that introduction that can really launch us. So from your professional standpoint, from Rotary, man, have that introduction. Set the stage so that it just gets everybody, like for you too, Kerri, you could have set that stage for your story and let us all know what you're going to talk about. Anyways, I always like your speeches. Can't wait to hear the next one. Thank you.
Bob, I loved your rabbit story because I can remember I had rabbits, so my family had rabbits when I was like 5, 6 years old. Well, we thought there were pet rabbits, but eventually they showed up on our dinner table. That's where they belong. There were actually dual purposes for the rabbits. Eventually they showed up as food. Speaker number 2 was Kerri Bird. She spoke about she read from the Interpretive manual called Moonstruck, and she's going to be evaluated by Shayne.
Thank you, Mr. Master Evaluator. First of all, this evaluation is a concoction. Interpretive reading, that is a tough assignment. You know, no matter what you do in Toastmasters, you have to tell them what you're going to tell them, then tell them, and tell them what you told them. And you have to use vocal variety, volume, and gestures. That's possible. Interpretive reading is tough in eye contact. Interpretive reading is kind of hard to do eye contact because you're actually reading. This assignment, though, allows you to actually put the story kind of in your own words, but kind of follow the book. But to know where you're going and don't have to read it very, very much, that's hard to do, unless you really know the story. Now, Kerri, when she first got up here, okay, have your story all ready to go right away. So you got to play the book. What I liked though was that Kerri has a great smile. She was dressed well. She was excited and she was enthusiastic. And here's a new twist on the cow that jumped over the moon. I loved it. I didn't know that the horses trained the cow how to jump over the moon. That was a great story. What I would like to have seen more, though, is use of your volume and use of vocal variety. And I'm a slow person. I'm a kid. Slow it down. Slow it down to across some places. And then at the very end, which you did very well, you speeded it up. Fast and fast and fast and fast as you ran. Jumped over the moon. That was great. Thanks.
Next in line is Gus D evaluating Shayne in regards to what I believe. His speech was outstanding. In fact, I can recommend a book which I just read called The Motivation Manifesto by Brighton Bouchard. It's fantastic. Dovetails right into what you were saying.
Thank you. Our guests, welcome, fellow Toastmasters and Shayne. Today, Shayne is completing the Competent Communicator Manual, speech number 10. Thank you. And over the last 10 speeches, maybe today was the only day you may have concocted something, but it came out very well. And I'm going to tell you about that. The speech was to how do you inspire the audience? And Shayne walked up here and he was very authentic to tell us the speech he wrote last night, he's not going to give that as he came over. Even though it was an apology, we normally don't apologize to give a speech, but you were very, very genuine. You told us what I'm going to talk about. And you gave a speech that was very relevant from the evaluation, was very relevant to the club. You talked about yourself, what you believe. And you understood it so well that you started by giving us all those statistics fact. 500,000 people in Orlando, 15 to 20 million people in Florida, 3 million people in the USA. I think that gave me the impression, I heard from you and I saw that, even though this is not a speech you have prepared, what you're going to was relevant to the audience. When Shayne gets up here and he said, I am a very lucky person. Of the 3 million people in the United States, I am the one standing here. And as he explained that, I don't know what he wrote in the speech, but it was very clear that this is what he believed, that he had a life to live. We were very good in bringing up questions. Questions like, do we appreciate the gift of life we have? Do you treat your life as a gift? And how do you just get how do you treat other people? You talked about that and you used a very good example from the evaluation. The speaker used words to convey a vivid mental picture. You did. When you used the story from Facebook and then you were looking at the guy who spoke the ENT on TED Talk, that story was meaningful. I can just imagine, many ENTs that drive people all the time. But what you shared with us from the ENT, that you will ask people those questions and tell them the truth and stop lying. Very good storytelling, very good example. Then you went on quickly to tell us what you believe. You believe that people should be comfortable and uncomfortable. There should be pain and there should be joy. You should be happy and you should be sad. And you brought all of that together. So your speech to inspire was amazing. The other thing I would ask, don't get distracted by Stephany trying to pay off for a clicker. And so thank you for your speech. You've done well to complete this. I'm inspired to know the reason why I live, because I have eternal life.
Thank you.
Now it's a great pleasure to introduce our technical table, starting with Lynn Levy, our comment. Chameleon, I'm sorry.
Today we didn't butcher the English language, and we also didn't use a lot of colorful vocabulary, although Lori did use humongous, which is a word we really like. The word of the day was used by Sam and Bob and Shayne. Mike used both of them, so you get double, right, kudos. Jean and Stephany, I mentioned Bob, James and Gus, and Steve and myself. That's my report.
Yay!
Next in line is Stephen Morgan as a timer.
Mr. General Evaluator, of the speakers, Bob Levy's 5 to 7 minute speech went to 5 minutes 9 seconds. Kerri Bird's 5 to 7 minute speech went 5 minutes 35 seconds. Shayne managed to concoct something without making a joke about concoction. For his 8 to 10 minute target, he went to 10 minutes 12 seconds. Our table topics speakers, all were supposed to hit 30 to 60 seconds. Lori went for 52 seconds. Jean went to 1 minute 17. Stephany 47 seconds. Gus came up short at 24 seconds. Bob went to 43 seconds. For our evaluators who are supposed to do theirs within 2 to 3 minutes, Julia went 2 minutes 50 seconds, James for 2 minutes 4 seconds, and Gus went for 3 minutes 18 seconds.
Next in line is Stephany Porns, our art counter.
Gus just made up time.
Okay. Shayne tried to give me a bunch of money, but he's only 80 cents. Mostly so's and really.
I paid you to put
Who
your
else
pen
would
down.
really? You got a plethora of stuff here. I'll share it with you later. It's all equal opportunity here. Gene, 15 cents. 1 well, 2 so's. I gotta pay that. Ernst, you're only 3 ons. Julia, 1 so. James, great. Gus Davies, very, 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 very. Lynn, just 15 cents, and I'm 5 cents. That's my report.
As for the general evaluation of the meeting room was set up properly. Sergeant Arm put all the flags up here on time. Temperature is fantastic. We had our sweet rolls set up and coffee, etc. So you did a fantastic job. You started also the meeting on time, which is a rule of Toastmasters, even though not all the players might be in the room, especially the Toastmaster. We need to start the meeting on time and then figure out from there on what we need to do. In regards to our Toastmaster, if there's one thing I hate, and if I'm talking about, if I reflect on our 45 years of marriage to my wife, I can tell you the number one reason for us fighting was because she could never be on time. So it's still today an issue. I asked him, how can you leave at 7 o'clock if you need to be at a meeting at 7? I can never understand that, but it's just the way it is.
Speaking of being on time, Ernst.
So I just want to say, Mr. Toastmaster, don't start to concoct a meeting. You don't give us a lot of malarkey because this seems to be a habit. And if the habit, you need to fix when you leave.
Thank you, Ernst.
Don't beat up Sam. Don't beat
I would
up
like to point out
Sam.
that no one else stepped up to the Toastmaster rules.
Everyone, please welcome our guest, Alicia Covielas. Thank you for visiting us. How'd you hear about that?
I've been meaning to join the Toastmasters.
He's the one of the day, too.
No pressure. From the internet, actually. I mean, I've heard of Toastmasters for years, but actually this particular club I saw on the internet.
Okay. We're on the internet.
No, I'm just pretty bad.
Was it on Meetup?
Okay, just look us up on
I'm so glad that you're here. Only 10% of the people finish their company communicator manual, so we'd like to recognize Mr. Shayne Jeffrey. And I'll let go ahead and read the ticket in just a second. Next week is our auction, right, Julia?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Make sure,
tell us.
yes. It is next week. Bring an item. You have 2 minutes to speak about it. The highest bidder, or the person whose prize gets the highest bid, will get a prize to be confirmed next week. We're hoping it might be a membership dues. So anyways, don't forget an item. Prepare a 1 to 2 minute speech. We'll have auction-styled seating. We will have Samuel, our auctioneer.
He'll be here on time.
We'll
Yay.
be here on time. We'll raise a little bit of chunk change for the club. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, so we're gonna call the winners.
Madam President, you have $20 and
Sorry, 10 to the
since you are
winners.
another member, you can
All right, guys, pull my number.
pull a number.
Uh-oh, fix is in.
So, you read it, the last three numbers, 715.
751.
751 is the number.
All right,
So that's a good investment. Put 5 in, give 5 back, 10 back. Great
So
job.
remember, next week is our auction, and confirm on Easy Speak, and we'll see you next week.
Pay up, y'all, pay up your fines.
Famous,
Come on,